Shalom Aleichem and welcome to chapter 16 as we look at Hebrew participles. Let's get started. So what is a participle? Now in Hebrew, a participle is called Beinoni. Beinoni. Beinoni means in between. From the preposition bein, bein means between, because participles stand between a verb and an adjective. It stands between a verb, it shows action, for example the word writing, and at the same time it shows elements of an adjective. For example, when you translate it as the writing man. So a participle is a word that is between a verb and adjective. Beinoni, between a verb and an adjective. So it's a half verb and half adjective. Participles combine features of verbs and adjectives at the same time. And because it's a verb, it has voice, but also because it's an adjective, it has gender and number, just like adjectives. So a participle has voice, gender, and number. Let's look at the types. In Hebrew, we have two types. We have the cow active and the cow passive. The cow active is like saying, Rebecca is walking. That's the cow active. And in the cow passive is like saying, the house was being built. That being built is showing cow passive participle. And so we have two kinds. We have cow active participles and we have cow passive participles. In short, we have active participles and we have passive participles. And just like adjectives, participles have to agree with the noun that they qualify in gender and number. They have to agree with their subject. And we're going to look at that later on. Let's look at how participles are formed. Let's start with the cow active participle. The cow active participle is generally formed with holem after the first consonant and sere after the second consonant. So you have holem, first consonant, and the second consonant takes sere. And so that gives you the sound oe, oe. So when you see holem and sere, more especially holem on the first consonant, know that you're looking at a participle, specifically a cow active participle. Cow active participle. And so here is how they're formed. If you have the verb, for example, katav, and you want to turn it into a participle, you're going to put holem on the first consonant and sere in the second. So you're going to have kotev, kotev. And kotev means writing. Kotev means writing. And so the cow active participle is translated with ing at the end. Ing, writing, killing. For example, you have katao from the cow perfect. Making it a participle becomes kotel, kotel, holem sere, holem sere. And the participle kotel would mean killing, killing. And so this is how cow active participles are formed generally. But let's look at the paradigm for the cow active participle. And so here you have paradigm for the active participle. Remember, it behaves like a verb but also an adjective. And because it behaves like an adjective, it's going to take noun endings. As you can see, im, ot, a, these are noun endings because it behaves like an adjective. And adjectives take noun endings. And so this is the paradigm. Let's go through the paradigm. In masculine singular, you have shomer. And we're using the verb shama, shama, meaning to keep. He kept, he kept. And they're turning the word shama into a participle. So in masculine singular, it's going to be shomer, shomer, meaning keeping. Shomer, keeping. In the plural, it's going to be shomrim, shomrim. The translation is still the same, keeping. Just the number that has changed. And feminine singular is going to be shomret or shomra. The most common one is shomra. Shomret is very rare to find. Most of the times you're going to find shomra. So you have shomra, keeping. And the feminine plural you have shomrot. Shomrot. Remember that ot is a feminine plural. If you still remember the noun endings, you have ot, feminine plural ending. So you have shomrot, shomrot, which means keeping. And so the active participles are translated with ing, regardless of the number. Singular, you put ing. Plural, you are going to put ing. The translation is still the same, keeping. Things to note. The masculine plural is formed by simply adding the normal masculine plural ending, im. And secondly, the feminine singular has two forms. As you can see, you have shomret, and shomra. But the one that is common is shomra, and it uses the ending a for the common singular feminine ending, and that is coming from the nouns. And the feminine plural is using ot, which is a suffix that you find the common ending on the nouns as well. So in short, participles use suffixes that are coming from the nouns, or endings that are coming from the nouns, because they behave like adjectives, and adjectives use noun endings. The only thing is that they are going to add the holem, the first consonant to take the holem. So you have sho, sho, sho throughout. Now maybe wondering what happened to the sere. You remember in Hebrew, when you start adding endings to a word, there will always be vowel changes. And remember the most common rule, the syllable that is next to the tone syllable, the syllable second from the last, always takes shua. When you start adding suffixes, the syllable next to the last syllable always takes shua. And so that's why you're having shomrim in the plural. And since the feminine has added an ending, you're going to have shua also. So you have shomra. In the plural, you have shomrot. As you can see, the syllable next to the last, the syllable next to the tone syllable always takes shua when you start adding endings. The only exception is the masculine singular form. And this exception is very common to find in Hebrew. You notice on the verbs also, the masculine singular form was not taking endings. On the adjectives, the masculine singular form was not taking endings. And even on the nouns, the masculine singular form was not taking endings. So masculine singular form, most of the times, majority of the times, will not take endings. You start adding endings as you move away from the masculine singular form. So that's why you have shomer, and shomer has kept the key identity holem sere. So shomer has holem sere, shomer. And just to repeat what is important, when you start adding endings, the syllable next to the tone syllable, remember tone syllable is the last, so the syllable next to the tone syllable, the second from the last, always receives a shua. Shomrim, shomra, shomrot. Those are going to receive shuas. And this you're going to see also on the passive, passive participles uses the same principle. So that is important to know. Remember the translation is ing at the end. Shomer, keeping. Shomrim, keeping. Shomra, keeping. Shomrot, keeping. The only difference is the gender and the number. Let's look at the examples on translation. Now, participles do not have person. They don't have subject. They don't have person in them, in their form. And so they get the subject from context. You always find the subject from the context. They only have gender and number. Therefore, you're going to see a subject always accompanying the participle. On the other hand, participles can function substantively, and that means they can function as nouns. If it has no subject accompanying it, it's going to be translated as the one, then you put ing. For example, the one dwelling, the one going. In that case, it functions as a noun. But most of the times, you're going to have a subject accompanying it. All right, let's look at examples. Example number 1, you have Wehu shochen. Wehu shochen. Wehu shochen. How to translate that? Now you have the participle, the active participle, shochen. Shochen. And shochen is active because you can tell the form, it has holem tzere. Holem tzere. So that's pointing to active participle. Cow active participle. Now you have a subject here, who. Wehu, meaning and he. Remember, who means he from the pronouns? Who means he. So you have and he, shochen. Shochen means dwelling. It means dwelling. It comes from the verb shakan. It comes from shakan. Shakan means he dwelt. So when it becomes a participle, it becomes dwelling. Dwelling. The translation is and he was dwelling. And he was dwelling. Next we have ki holech hu. Ki holech hu. Again you have the participle here. Holech, that's a participle. And you can see sometimes the participle is going to be pointed with holem wow, which is still all class vowel. But most of the time it's going to be holem. So you have holech, and that is an active participle. Comes from the verb halach. And halach means he walked. So holech means walking or going. So you have ki, which means for, holech, which means walking or going, and then you have the subject, who. The translation becomes, for he was walking. For he was walking. So that's how you translate that. Next you have the phrase, shofech dam ha'adam. Shofech dam ha'adam. Shofech, that's a participle, and it means the one shedding. It means shedding. It means shedding. And you can see here that we don't have the subject. This phrase has no subject. And we said when the phrase has no subject, the participle is functioning as a noun. And so you translate it as the one shedding. The one shedding. So you have the one shedding, and dam means blood. So you have the one shedding blood. Ha'adam means the man. But then you have dam ha'adam. So this is construct. You have blood of the man. So the phrase is going to be the one shedding the man's blood, or the one shedding the blood of the man. The one shedding the blood of the man. Last you have the phrase Hamaolach holech el hahechao. Hamaolach holech el hahechao. How do you translate that? First of all, you have the participle holech, and it means walking. Hamaolach means the angel. Maolach is angel. So you have the angel walking. El means to. Hahechao, that means the temple. Hechao is temple. The angel walking to the temple. And because it's an active participle, the translation becomes the angel is walking to the temple. The angel is walking to the temple. That's how you translate that. Let's look at more examples. But now let's see how participles agree in gender and number with their subject. In the first phrase you have Ha'anashim yoshvim. Ha'anashim yoshvim. Yoshvim is the participle. It's an active participle. How do you tell? Because of the holem on yod, yo, that holem on yod is pointing to a participle. Aside from that, you have masculine im ending, im. And so you have two things, holem and masculine ending. So yoshvim, that's a participle. It's a masculine plural participle. That im is from the plural. So you have yoshvim. And yoshvim is coming from the verb yashav. Yashav means he sat. When it becomes a participle, it becomes yoshvim, and it means sitting. Remember, you add ing, sitting. Ha'anashim means the men. So you have the men are sitting. Now we're saying participles agree with their subject in gender and number. Ha'anashim is masculine plural, and yoshvim is masculine plural. You can tell the ending is the same. You have im and im. So the participle, when it's functioning as an adjective, is going to agree in gender and number. Next we have the phrase Hanashim shomrot. Hanashim shomrot. Shomrot is a participle. Why? Because of the holem on shin, the first consonant. And you have ot ending, a noun ending, which is the feminine plural ending. So you have shomrot. Now these two are agreeing in gender and number. Now you may be wondering, how are they agreeing in gender? This is im ending and this is ot ending. Remember, nashim is an irregular form, comes from isha. It's a plural of the word isha. Isha means woman. In the plural it becomes nashim, women. Now we said, even though it takes im ending, and im ending is a masculine form, the word itself is feminine. So the word itself is feminine, but it's having masculine plural ending. So since the word is feminine, it's agreeing with this participle that is having feminine ending, ot, shomrot. And so again, the participle is matching in gender and number. Both of them are plural. Shomrot, nashim. So hanashim means the women. So the translation becomes, the women are keeping. The women are keeping. Shomrot from shama. Shama means he kept. So shomrot becomes keeping as a participle. Next we have the phrase Hamelech shomea. Hamelech shomea. Shomea is a participle. It means keeping. It means keeping. That's masculine singular form. Shomer. You have Holem and Sereh. Shomer. And you have the king. Hamelech. The king. So you have the king is keeping. The king is keeping. That's how you translate it. But you can see the participle is masculine singular and Melech is masculine singular. And so once again, the participle is agreeing in gender and number. And that is what is important. Remember, cow-active participles have their identity, and the identity is Holem. When you start adding endings, you tell from the Holem in the first consonant. But in the masculine singular, the identity is Holem Sereh. Holem Sereh. That is very important. Let's move. Let's look at the cow passive participles and how they are formed. Now, the cow passive participle is generally formed with kametz under the first consonant and shurek under the second consonant. So you have kametz and shurek. You have a-u, that a-u sound, that's a participle in the passive voice. And we have examples there. We have katav. Katav is cow third person masculine form in the perfect tense. When you take that and bring it as a participle, it becomes katuv. Katuv. You're going to add kametz and shurek. Katuv. And how you translate passive participles is you add being and you put it in the past. Being written. Katav means he wrote. In the participle it becomes katuv. Being written. Being written. So you add being written. Another example is katau. Katau means he killed. Cow perfect tense, he killed. When it comes to cow passive participle, it becomes katuv. Katuv. And that means being killed. Being killed. So this is how you form cow passive participles. Remember the translation? Being plus a verb. Being written. Being killed. Why? Because passive means that the subject is receiving the action. The subject is the recipient of the action. So you say being written. For example, the man is being killed. The book is being written. The subject is receiving the action. That's passive voice. Let's look at the paradigm. And so we have the paradigm here. Again, you can see the passive participles also add noun endings. You have the im, the a, the ot. So participles use noun endings, except in the masculine singular. Masculine singular, you have the key identity, which is kametz shurek. And so it's going to be shamu. We're using the word shama, the verb shama. In the masculine singular, it's going to be shamur. Shamur. And shamur means being kept or being guarded. Shama means he guarded or he kept. So shamur means being kept. And when you start adding endings, you have shemurim. Shemurim, masculine plural. Translation is still the same, being kept. In the feminine singular, you have shemura. Shemura, being kept. Feminine plural, you have shemurot. Shemurot. Translation is still the same, being kept. So for the passive participles, masculine singular form, you're going to see kametz and shurek. The rest of the other forms, what would tell you that this is a passive participle is the shurek that you're adding, the infix. The infix shurek. You're seeing the shurek throughout. After the mem, you have shurek. And then you have noun endings at the end. That is what will tell you that the word you're looking at is a cow passive participle. The most important thing is the shurek and noun endings that are being added. That's your key identity. Let's look at examples. The first one you have Hamelech Shamur. Hamelech Shamur. You have the participle Shamur, and because of that shurek, that is telling you that the word you're looking at is a passive participle. And this one is cow passive, masculine singular, because of the kametz and shurek. And Shamur means being kept. It means being kept from the word shamar. Shamar means he kept. Shamur as a participle becomes being kept. So you have Hamelech, the king, is being kept. Now context is going to guide you on the tense, whether it's past, present or future. That is going to be determined by context. So this can mean the king was being kept or the king is being kept. Context determines the tense. Next phrase you have Hamelech Hashur. Hamelech Hashur. Now, what I want to point out here is that when the participle is carrying a definite article, you're going to translate the participle as the king who is being kept. The king who is being kept. You're going to add the relative pronoun who. So you're going to say the king who is being kept. The first one, notice the first one, we don't have a definite article on the participle shamur. This one is having definite article, ha, hashamur. The first one was reading, the king is being kept. This one, with the participle, is going to be the king who is being kept. The king who is being kept. Alright, last example there, we have the long one. Kol divrei, hatorah, hazot, haktuvim, basefer hazeh. How to translate that? First of all, you have the participle, ketuvim. You have ketuvim. Now you may be wondering, how do you know that this is the participle? Because of the shurek, that infix shurek is pointing to a participle. Aside from that, you have noun ending im. You have noun ending im. So you have ketuvim. And this is coming from katav, which means to write. And this is a passive participle. And as such, the translation becomes being written. Being written. So starting from the beginning, you have kol divrei. Kol means all. Divrei is in construct. So this is a construct relationship here. Divrei, words of hatorah, words of the law. Words of the law. So you have all the words of the law. Hazot. Hazot is demonstrative pronoun. Zot is this. This. All the words of the law. This. Then you have haktuvim, being written. This being written. Basefer. Basefer, you have preposition be, and they swallowed up the definite article. So you have in there, in the book. Sefer, in the book. Hazeh. Hazeh means this. So you have in this book, being written in this book. So together it becomes all the words of the law being written in this book. All the words of the law being written in this book. That's the translation there. Alright, let's look at passing participles. How do you pass participles? Remember, passing is giving more information about the word you're given. And so let's look at how to pass participles. The first word is shomer. Shomer. Now notice the form. It has holem sere. That holem sere is telling you the word you're looking at is active. Active participle. Why? Because holem sere is a sign of an active participle. Not only that, it's coming from masculine singular. Masculine singular. So the stem is going to be cow active. Now on the stem, you're going to indicate whether it's passive or active. So you're going to say cow active. If it's passive, you're going to say cow passive. So shomer is cow active participle. And on conjugation, you're going to say passive. Participles don't belong to the imperfect or perfect. They stand alone. So on conjugation, you're going to say participle. Gender and number, I said holem sere. When you check the paradigm, is coming from masculine singular. Masculine singular. How do you translate? Since this is coming from shama, shama means he kept. As a participle, it becomes shomer, and that becomes keeping. Keeping. Lexical form is shama. Next, we have the word shamur. Shamur. Notice you have kametz shurek. Kametz shurek. A sign of cow passive participle. Cow passive participle. And so the stem is cow passive. Conjugation is participle. The gender and number is, this is coming from, kametz shurek is coming from masculine singular. So the gender and number is masculine singular. The translation is being kept. Translation is being kept. Passive participles are translated as being. You add the word being. Being kept, being written. That's how you translate them. Lexical form, this is coming from shama. Shama. Next you have the word kotela. Kotela. How do you pass this word? Now notice you have holem sere. This holem sere is pointing to cow-active participle. Holem sere is a sign of cow-active participle. And that a ending is from the feminine. So it's feminine singular. Feminine gender, singular number. Kotela. The stem is cow-active. The conjugation is participle. On gender and number you have fs, feminine singular. Translation is killing. Active is active voice, killing. Lexical form is katao, katao. Next you have the word holech, holech. You can tell holem sere, that's cow-active participle coming from masculine singular. So gender and number is masculine singular. And lexical form, this is coming from halach. Halach means he walked. As a participle, it becomes walking, walking. And that's how you pass this word. Holech, walking. And finally, you have the word katuv, katuv. Katuv, because of the shurek, you have kametz shurek, and that's a sign of cow-passive participle. Cow-passive participle. The most important is the shurek. That infix shurek is telling you the word you're looking at is a participle, but a passive participle. And this is coming from masculine singular. When you check the paradigm, this is masculine singular. The translation, the word is coming from katav. Katav means he wrote. As a participle, it becomes being written. It's a passive, being written, being written. Lexical form is katav, katav. All right, let's look at chapter 16 vocabulary. Let's look at chapter 16 vocabulary. Let's start with the nouns. The first word is achot. Achot. Achot means sister. It means sister. Brother is ach. Brother is ach. And this is how Hebrew behaves. Some nouns are built from other nouns. For example, you have man, which is ish, and woman is isha. So in the same case, brother is ach, sister is achot. Achot. So achot means sister. Next you have the word geshem. Geshem. And geshem means rain. It means rain. Next you have the word behema. Behema. Behema means cattle. It means cattle. Though at times can mean beasts or wild animals, but behema means cattle. Next you have the word demut. Demut. Demut means pattern. It means pattern or form or shape. Demut means pattern or form. Next you have the word choma. Choma. Choma means wall. It means wall. Can be wall around an area or around the city. The wall fence surrounding a city or area. Next you have the word oyev. Oyev. Oyev means enemy. Oyev means enemy. Next you have the word mincha. Mincha. And that word means gift. It means present, an offering, or gift. It means gift. Next you have pa'ar. Pa'ar. And that means a young bull. Pa'ar means a young bull. Next you have the word para. Para means a cow. A cow. Next you have the word rishon. Rishon. Rishon means first. Rishon means first. And that is first in rank. These are ordinal numbers. That is first in rank. Next you have the word reshit. Reshit. This one you already know it. Reshit means beginning. Reshit means beginning. I've been using it a lot. Reshit means beginning. It's the one that is found in Genesis 1 verse 1. Bereshit bara Elohim. That is, in the beginning, you have be preposition plus reshit. So, reshit means beginning. It comes from the word rosh. Rosh means head. Rosh means head. So, reshit means beginning. Beginning or first fruit. Next you have the word sa'ar. Sa'ar. Sa'ar means official. It means a commander, a leader. Still on the nouns, next you have the word Shabbat. Shabbat. Shabbat means Sabbath. Shabbat means Sabbath. And you hear people say Shabbat Shalom. That is happy Sabbath, peaceful Sabbath. Shabbat means Sabbath. It means Sabbath. Next you have the word tawek. Tawek. Tawek means midist. It means midu. It means midist. Tawek means midist. Then we come to pronouns. These are pronouns or interrogatives. We have bama. Bama means with what? It means how. It means with what. Interrogatives ask questions. So bama means with what or by what means. Next we have kama. Kama. Kama means how much. How much. How many. How much. Next we have lama. Lama means why. It means why. Why. Then we have adverbs. On adverbs we have one, and that is ach. Ach. Ach means ye. It means surely. It means only. It means surely. Then we have prepositions. Prepositions we have ba'ad. Ba'ad. Ba'ad means behind. Ba'ad. Behind. Behind or through or out of or for the benefit of. And then we have betoch. Betoch. Betoch means within, inside, within. And then we have the particle na. The particle na. The particle na is a particle of agency. Most of the times it's not translated. And sometimes when it's translated as please. It means surely or please. So na most of the times is not translated. But in areas when it's translated, it means please or surely. Alright, as we say it, practice, practice, practice. So go through the paradigms, learn them and know them. Practice, practice, practice. Lay it out.